I don't know why, and I don't know how, but the Jews are still God's chosen people. She started crying. She's like, I know where you're gonna go with this, and I can't come with you.
What would you sacrifice for truth? Your marriage? Your home? Your entire life as you know it? This is the story of a man who went searching for answers in a Bible Belt church and found himself on a path that would cost him his marriage, challenge everything he believed, and ultimately lead him home to a faith he never knew was calling him. This isn't just a conversion story, it's a testament to the power of following your truth no matter the cost.
Me and my wife divorced amicably. How can I have intimate relations with you if you think I'm the devil? How does that work? From that day, I'm like, okay, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm gonna start reading the Bible and trying to figure stuff out. So I went through all the 300 plus prophecies one by one. I saw the Jewish position and I saw the Christian position, and I was going, oh my gosh, the Jewish position pretty much obliterates every Christian position.
I'm Menachem Learfield, and this is 0%, where we explore the outsized impact of the Jewish people. This season, we're focusing on stories of Jews by choice. And we're so honored to have with us today Gus. Gus, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And Gus, you are in Miami, Florida now, right?
Yes, the second most indigenous place for Jews outside of New York and Israel.
That's right, the sixth borough, they call it.
Yeah.
My hometown. And is that where you're from originally?
So I'm originally from Brazil, but we moved to Miami, Florida when I was 2, and there's a whole story with that as well, back and forth. And that's how my journey kind of starts off, basically.
Okay, so why don't you start us there? So you were living in Brazil, and then what brought you to Miami?
So starting off, my we were raised Catholic, but we weren't really practicing. My mother and father were like, hey, believe in God, be a good person, don't be weird. That was the
Those are good rules. I like that.
They were just like, hey, we raise you up in this, but know that this is not what we believe. We just do it because everyone does it around us. And I'm like, okay, cool. I get presents. How can I complain? You know? So then my father was like, hey, we're tired of all the crime in Brazil. Let's move to America. So then we stayed in America for a couple of years. Secular stuff, nothing religious always. Then we moved back to Brazil because my father got tired of America. Then he got tired of Brazil.
How old
again.
were you when you moved back?
I was like 7 or 8. Yeah.
Okay, and you just got used to living in America, speaking English, made all these new friends, and then pick you up, send you back.
Yes. So, and then basically we stayed in America until I was like 20 something, and then we moved back for 2 years in Brazil. Then I'm like, my dad's like, nope, this is not going to work again. Let's move back. But always Miami. Oh, Miami was the spot. He was like, it's the closest place. It's summer year round. It's great. So all this adventure and growing up, basically, I had a bunch of Jewish secular friends. They all went to private school or Ransom and all these other things. I just knew them. They weren't really Jews. They were just normal people who ate pork and did all these things. So I've never seen the religious aspect of it, growing up. It was just, oh, these are my Jewish friends. We call them Jews, but they do everything that we do. So I don't see a difference.
And when did that change?
Oh yeah. So it changed. Well, the first change was when I met a lady and we dated. At first she was like, hey, I want to start going to church. And I'm like, what? I'm like, wait, we just spent the night out at these nightclubs and you want to go to church right after? And then I was basically saying, all right, cool, let's go. If that makes you happy, let's start going. So it was an evangelical church down in downtown Miami. And, they would say Jesus this, Jesus that. And I'm going like, I just believe in God. I'm like, I really don't understand what's going on here. And this whole salvation and hell, heaven, I was like, well, I think God's a good being and he understands that we mess up and we try our best. Like, I never really connected with that message. So we kept on going. Then she got pregnant and I was like, oh man, we have to leave now. Let's go to a place. So my parents had moved back to Brazil at this time, by the way. So I was just here with my brother and sister, and then she got pregnant. Then I was like, hey, let's go to where your family lives. And she goes, oh, my family lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I'm like, I have no clue where that is. What are you talking about? She's like, oh, it's literally the Bible Belt. And I'm like, what? She's like, oh, it's like in the middle of the country. I'm like, I haven't even been to Texas. Like, I don't even know anything about this. Like, she's like, no, it's like, we call it the buckle of the Bible Belt. Basically, everything that's crazy usually stems from Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Oklahoma in general. And I'm like, I saw
She's
the
really
prices.
selling
I'm
it.
like, yeah. And like, just selling. And then I saw the prices of like rentals. I was like, oh my gosh, let's go. Look how 4-bedroom house, 2 garage, huge backyard, basically the same price as a 1-1 in Miami Beach. So then we move back, and then she got in touch with her parents again, and they getting in good terms. And then I found out her parents are like fundamentalist, evangelical, Christian, like top level, like speaking in tongues, type stuff. And then she started getting into it. And I'm going, oh man, what have we had? Like, what's going on here? Like, so we would go to this mega church and like everyone's hooting and hollering and doing all this crazy stuff. I'm going like, is this normal? Like guys with flags running around and all this stuff. It just never really connected. I'm like, no, I just believe in God. Like, I don't understand what the deal is here. They started reading the Bible and they're like, oh, so how do you feel when you read the Bible? And I'm like, wait, this has nothing to do with how I feel. There's like a message in the Bible that you have to know what it's telling you, or else you just come up with crazy stuff. At this time, I really have no questions about like Judaism or anything like that. It's just, like a culture shock of craziness when people are like running around screaming stuff in Jesus' name and cast out the devils and demons. And I'm pretty like low bar, like just normal.
That's your parents' only rule, is just don't be weird.
Yeah, literally. So I'm like, oh man. So at this mega church, the last straw was when the pastor was like, back when I was younger, I saw this blind kid, and then I put my hands over him and I prayed in Jesus' name, and then he was healed of blindness. Mind you, everyone in the room stood up and erupted. And I'm like, wait, where's the newspaper clippings? Where's this kid? Like, give me some evidence of this thing happening instead of like, oh, it was in the backwoods of Louisiana. And I'm like, look, I'm all for all this crazy stuff you guys are talking about, but like, this is too much for me. Like, this is borderline cult, mentality. So we left that one and we went to a little smaller church.
How did her parents respond to that?
They had no response because I think they saw me and they're like, Gus thinks we're crazy. And I'm like, I think you're crazy. But they liked it that they brought somebody new into church. And the first thing was, so I had an accident a couple of years back that got resolved. So I got a big check from the settlement. And then they're like, oh, you have to tithe on that money. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. You're asking for how much now? And I have to give extra? And I'm going like, no way. This is crazy. You want that much money. And what do I get? It's like, oh no, you get the blessings, you get this. And I'm like, no, I'm good with that. I don't really need that. So in the end, I did tithe, I guess. I did give them money. It was a big amount, so I was like, okay, I kind of don't want to, but I will, you know. And then basically we went to the small church, small gathering. So just normal place for Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know, not, you know, a lot of talking in tongues, a lot of that crazy stuff. They're more Bible book based, which was pretty good. There were more, hey, we're reading this passage, this is what it means in context. And I was like, okay, cool, I can live with that. This is, you know, it's not crazy. So then, mind you, we're going like Wednesdays and Sundays. Like she started amping up the daily dosage of hallelujahs and, you know, all this stuff. And I'm going like, oh man, I love my kids and I love my wife. So one day, this is where like the bomb drops. This is basically when everything starts happening. So one day the pastor goes like this. It was like on a Sunday, and he goes like this. Like I never really paid attention to what they were saying. I was thinking about NFL, NBA. Like I was talking, and I heard like, I don't know if you remember, like Snoopy, wah, 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 wah. Like that's all I heard. That's literally like no. But on this day, the pastor goes like this, which blew my mind when I heard it, and it stopped me in my tracks. He goes like this. He goes, I don't know why, and I don't know how, but the Jews are still God's chosen people. So in Christianity, there's two camps. There's the Christians that believe, oh, we're the new Israel, we're the new Jews. The original Jews messed up, and God doesn't like them anymore. That's like 95% of Christianity. The other 5%, or even less, honestly, is the ones like, no, the Jews are still in. We don't know how, but they're still God's chosen people. And pastors don't really say that out loud, because then it forms like a divisive unit in their church, because you have the 95% and then you have the 5%. So when he dropped that, my brain just started going like, wait, did he just say what I heard? He just said. The funny thing is, the whole church is quiet, right? The whole church is quiet. And I'm looking around and I'm like, did you just hear what this guy just said? You know, like, did he just say? So then he repeated it again. Mind you, I'm like in the back and in like dark, and like just so my brain could process it again. He goes and says the same thing. I don't know why, and I don't know how, but the Jews are still God's chosen people. From that day, I'm like, okay, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to start reading the Bible and trying to figure stuff out. So I just started reading, and I would ask the pastors, like, hey, where do I start? What's going on? Give me some context, give me some direction. They're like, oh, start in the New Testament with John. And I'm like, hold on, man. I'm skipping like 85% of the start.
Wait, why am I going to the sequel if I haven't read the movie? I haven't seen the movie.
Right. It's like I'm literally skipping the whole thing, and my brain didn't. I'm like, wait, there's something wrong here. Like, why do they keep on saying that? Why do I have to go to this first and then read the first part? You know, and I just couldn't understand it. I was like, this is so weird. So I didn't follow their instructions. I started through Genesis. And I was, I like the story, very nice. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on, so I'm kind of lost. So I'm like, no, I need to figure out what's going on. So then they start these like reading groups, these Bible reading groups. I'm like, okay, I'll join one. So, oh my gosh. So I joined these Bible reading groups. So everyone's reading the Bible, and we all start off, and I noticed that they're like, they would read a passage and say, so how does this make you feel? And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't know how it's like. I need to know the context of what's going on here. I need to know what the original writer wants to say and want like the original meaning of the text. I don't really care about how you feel. This is not like, a self-help book, in a sense that you can, oh, this is how I feel when I think about David and Goliath. Like, that's not really like how it works, and that just blew. I'm like, I can't believe I'm joining these people. This makes no sense. They don't know what they're talking about. So then I read like the Old Testament part of the book, and then basically I'm like, wait, the Jews are like, they're messing up here and there, but like the theology is there about God. Like, it's not, like there's various verses where I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Like, I don't understand why even we need Jesus. There's no point. Like, I want to go to the Father first. Why do I need to go through some guy that, says something? So let's go through the Father. And so at this time, I'm kind of like challenging I start like ruffling some feathers, because I start asking questions that makes everyone uncomfortable. And I'm a very logical person. And I'm like, look, if you believe in God and if you believe in the Bible, we're on the same footing. So we can discuss things on the same footing. If you're talking about some weird celestial being in planet Zargon, and then he comes down, like weird stuff. So I established you believe in God and you believe in the Bible. So everything else is up for debate now, because I'm seeing stuff that what you're telling me isn't what's written down. So then I ask the question, I'm like, man, why don't the Jews accept Jesus? Like, what's up? Like, these are the guys who are the original. They're the OGs. They're basically the first version of everything. They're the start. So I couldn't really understand. I was like, wait, how come they don't accept Jesus with all these things, all these 300 prophecies, these all crazy stuff going on? And then, so then I go to Aish. I go to the Aish site. I go to Chabad.
Wait, did you get a response when you asked that question?
So they're like, oh, you just don't understand the text, and you don't have the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, that doesn't click with me. I'm like, that's not really an answer. It's like saying, oh, you can't see it. You can't see like Scientology because you're not a Scientologist. It's not like, it's like, first you got to drink the Kool-Aid and then you'll see what we see. And I was like, that's not how it works, or you're a cult. I don't know what else to tell you. So I went to aish.com. I went to Chabad.org. I went to JewsForJudaism.org.
How'd you even find these? You just Google?
Google was honestly the best thing for me, honestly. It was.
What year are we talking about, by the way?
Oh my gosh. This was like 9 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've actually, my conversion, it's my 2 years of conversion already. So yeah, we'll get to that. That's a funny story too. Like, I have really funny stories with my journey. So basically, so this is what would happen. So my wife would go to sleep and the kids would go to sleep as well. And I'd stay up every day, 3 hours a night, just reading text, reading the websites. Like, I would honestly sit and just consume all that information and write notes. I'm like, this is what the Christian says. This is what the Jewish person says. Like, who's right? And then I would check, And then I would go back and check what the Jew would say and the Christians say, and I go back to the Bible, and I was like, Jew's right. And then another one, the Jew's right. Another one, Jew right. Everything, Jew right. Like all the, so I went through all the 300 plus prophecies one by one. I saw the Jewish position and I saw the Christian position, and I was going, oh my gosh, the Jewish position pretty much obliterates every Christian position. And like the only position the Christians were at a middle ground was riding a donkey. Like the Messiah is going to ride a donkey. And I'm going like, well, they didn't have cars back then. So what would he be riding? He's not going to be riding a rhinoceros or some other, you know what I'm saying? The basic mode of transportation was a donkey. So they count that as like a prophecy. Like, oh, the Messiah is going to walk to Jerusalem. I'm like, guy, like everyone uses a donkey, you know, for travels, or a camel or a donkey. Like, you got two choices here, buddy, you know? But yeah, I went down the lane of literally going one by one and seeing who's right.
As you're going through that process, are you bringing any of that back home? Are you talking to your wife about that? Are you talking to the pastors?
So this is the hard part. So basically, I would try to present it to my wife, and she was having none of it. She was like, so she would start using the defenses that Christianity has put up for if things like this start occurring, they have fail safes to tell what to tell the other person. So which I found out was like, oh, you that's crazy. So you're like, oh, you have the devil's tricking you. So that's one fail safe. The other fail safe, you're not listening to your Holy Spirit. That's another one. And you don't have enough faith. And the Jews are blinding you. So they have all these. So I noticed, I'm like, oh, you guys have all these fail safes. If someone comes in and starts challenging you, you can fire these away and it makes you feel better. But how are you going to, like, it's not a logical response. I can't rebuttal. I have the devil in me, and it's not really an argument. It just, you know what I'm saying? It's just like a feeling. It's like it's attacking off feelings. And I'm like, I can't rebuttal that. You know, like what? I'm like, no, I don't have the devil in me. That's it. That's my rebuttal. I don't know what to say. So then I would go. This is funny. So I would go and I sit down with pastors and I'm like, hey, let's have a conversation. I'm gonna give you a question. You're gonna give me your answer, and I'm gonna give you the Jewish answer. I want you to rebuttal the Jewish answer. So I tried this with 5 pastors. So 4 pastors were like, leave right now. Like, we can't answer you. And then the 5th one was like, he goes, that's why I believe. And I'm like, what? I'm like, you can't say that. You're a pastor. You should know your scriptures and you should know how to defend your faith. Like, that's what I never understood. I'm like, so wait, you're just scared of losing your job because you're getting paid. You know, like, at this point, you just want to keep your job.
I bet that went over well.
Yeah. I wasn't the most liked in the church, because I was just getting up. Then I'd go to these book clubs, and I start challenging them. And those guys had no clue what to even say. They would go back to the devil. The devil's blinding you, and the Jews are tricking you. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Like, this doesn't make any sense. This is not logical to me. Like, you guys are just reading what you want to read, and it doesn't make it. I'm like, that's not the truth. Like, I was seeking truth in this scope of God and Bible. And what they were bringing me was like, oh, I believe. And I'm like, you could believe the world is flat, and that doesn't make it flat. Like, that's just your worldview. That's not the truth, So, yeah, it was very hard. I did that for a year, like every day, every day for a year, 3 to 4 hours, late night, just reading. And then I decided, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go a little bit more into it. So I started learning Hebrew. So I started learning Hebrew,
like online.
Yeah, online. I have the best websites to learn Hebrew, biblical Hebrew, even the best websites, YouTube videos. I'm a software engineer, so like this is like in my realm where I can search for anything at the time. So I was like, oh, this is great. I have literally the world at my fingertips here with information. Then I started discerning, you have weird like messianic Judaism, which is like Christianity infused with Judaism. And I was just like, this makes no sense. Like you like this, like you guys are just, you can't leave this because you're emotionally attached, but you know that what you're doing isn't the truth. But for some reason, you're emotionally attached to something, and you yourself can't deny that. So I didn't have the emotional tug that a lot of other people have. I just had the logical, let's go with all the logical, And a lot of people say, well, I don't believe in God. I'm like, well, then me and you really don't have a discussion here, because I believe in a higher power, and I believe in the Bible. So me and that person can't really have a productive conversation in me defending, what I believe, because he's gonna be like, well, I don't believe this anyway. So I'm like, okay. But with the Christian, I can say, we agree in these two things. Let's go further. So after I taught myself Hebrew, that took about a year and a month. I could basically read the Jewish Bible in Hebrew. And then that's when it dropped even more. Like once you figure out Hebrew and you start looking at these translations, your jaw drops. The amount that they edit the Jewish Bible, they change tenses, they add words, they add pronouns, they add paragraphs, they switch tenses. It's just crazy how much the Christian Bible changes the Jewish Bible.
And are we talking about like overt intentional mistranslations?
Yes, overt mistranslations. Like you cannot deny this. The funny thing is,
because translating is hard. Like even when you look at what we would consider legitimate translations, there's variations and differences.
Right. So funny enough, there's so many mistranslations in Isaiah 53, and I can literally prove it to you using their own concordance. They hide it. It's so crazy that they hide the meaning of words in specific places. But if you check that word in another place, they have the correct translation and the correct concordance. It's literally mind blowing. When I found that out, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy! I can't believe like they do this." So, all right.
So now you're equipped with Hebrew. You can see things in the original text. It's making a lot more sense to you. At this point, are you already considering becoming a Jew, or this is not even in your mind?
No. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma at this time. So I'm like, what lost Jew is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or how do I convert? I was like, oh, there's no way for me to do anything here. So, I'm like, is there Jewish synagogues in Tulsa, Oklahoma? That was my other thing. I was like, oh, I want to go to Shabbat.
I bet there was a Chabad.
Yes, there's a Chabad. Now that I know, everywhere. They are everywhere. and very helpful. So in my adventure, going to a Shabbat, I contacted the Chabad. So basically, my contact with Chabad goes like this. I email him once, no response. I email him twice, no response. I email him a third time, no response either. So then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just show up. So then I show up to Chabad, and he looks at me and he goes, "Are you Gus? I'm expecting you." And I'm like, what? I've literally been trying to eat. I've emailed you every week to like come and, he was like, "No, like I want to make sure that, we get a lot of people doing a lot of crazy stuff. So I want to make sure like, I just wanted to be clear that you really wanted to come." I'm like, okay. So I told him my position and he was like, "Well, you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There's not really a big Jewish community here. There's not a Jewish court here for conversions. So I'll invite you in, but, thank you so much for your interest in Judaism, but there's nothing I can do other than just, be a nice person to you." I was like, okay, that's fine. I understand. You're trying to help Jews come back and do all this stuff. So then I joined a conservative synagogue just to go through the motions of like what a synagogue life is, just like the Hebrew prayers, the festivals.
Where is your wife and all this?
She's going, "I like that you're doing this, but I think you're going way too far." But at this time, I was loving all this knowledge that I was gathering through Judaism. I was like, wait, in Christianity,
and are you sharing that at home? Are you sharing that with your wife? Are you sharing that with your kids? You're kind of like going through this journey alone.
Yeah, I was kind of like journey alone because I didn't want to rattle the cage because she was fundamentalist evangelical. So in her mind, the Jews are not the chosen people. They're not. They denied Jesus, so they are the bad people. So she's looking at all this going like, I'm glad that you're learning Hebrew, but this is not good for us. And I'm like, I understand, but like, I was so hungry. I got so hungry for the truth that I couldn't stop. I literally couldn't. I was like, man, this is speaking to me so much that I love it. I love reading everything, every piece of information and every video I got was just so enlightening and so breathtaking and it had so much knowledge in it. And I loved that. I was like, oh, it wasn't like, with Christianity, it's basically like, oh, you're a horrible person. You can't do anything right. You're damned to hell. We got the pill. Take this pill and you're golden. And I'm going, well, if for a Christian, you don't really have to do anything. You just got to like pop the pill and you're golden. You're good. You're good to go. Why would you be learning? And that's why I kind of understood why all these people, they couldn't break down the text. They didn't know, what was going on around them. They just know that, hey, I'm saved. I'm not going to hell. Everybody else is that doesn't believe like me, but I'm good and my family's good. So, yeah, that's what it basically was. It was just basically the breaking down of the text in a way that was so meaningful to me, other than the and actually understanding the plain meaning of the text correctly was what was spoke to me. Once you start going to all these levels, I'm like, well, this is way too much for me. Let's get back down. Let's get back down. And, get the normal meaning of the text.
Okay, so you're still in Oklahoma. You're going through this process.
Yeah.
You begin going to the conservative synagogue.
Right.
Then what?
So then I got approached by one of the fellows at church who was a older individual. And he was like, hey, I think you should go to biblical marriage counseling. And I'm going like, what is that? He's like, so we're a couple. We've been together for 50 years. We love Jesus. And I think we can help you with you and your wife, come to an understanding. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, do you have any degrees in any of this? And he's like, no, we've just been together for like 50 plus years. I'm like, okay, that's great. But like, I don't think you're a professional to tell me what to do here. Anyways, I conceded and I went. This is one of the funny stories. So we go to biblical marriage counseling, which was free, or else I wouldn't do it. I was like, if I'd pay for this, I better get some professional help here. So then, this is crazy. So he hands me a booklet. This old man hands me a booklet with two mountains on both sides. So there's a mountain here and a mountain here. On this mountain, on one mountain, there's me, and the other mountain is God, like the representation of God. And there's a chasm in the middle. And he goes, see, right now, you're separated from God. And he goes, how are you going to reach God? So he goes, turn the page. So I'm like, I turned the page. So where the chasm was a thing like this and like this for the cross. The bridge was the cross. So then I'm like, please give me a pen, sir. Give me a pen real quick. And I flip it back to the front page. And I'm like, this is how I reach God. I get a pen and I draw an arrow from me to God, pointing the arrow. And on top, I put prayer. He, in his lifetime, has never seen that response. It short-circuited everybody in the conversation. Everyone looked at me.
Was your wife mortified?
Yes, my wife. I looked at my. She was like, and then his wife was like, and he was like he was like frozen in time. Like it just shocked him so because he has never heard this rebuttal or answer, And then there's a verse that says, "All who call on me, I will call on my name, and in righteousness I will hear." And I quote that verse to him, and I'm like, "Look, buddy, I'm a little bit more advanced here than your guy who doesn't know anything now. At this time, I'm like quoting scripture. I'm quoting it in Hebrew. I'm going back and forth. I'm having debates now with people, and just like I'm just firing at all cylinders. I'm like, bum, 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 bum. So then I call up my mom. And this is actually funny. Like I said, so I call up my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know what's happening, but are we Jewish? So my mom pauses. She goes, yes. And I'm like, what? Are you insane? This has never brought up in any of our lives. And in a conversation, she's like, no. So our family lineage through me, we lived in Portugal. And we, it's quite known that we got kicked out by Franz Ferdinand because he didn't want to pay the Jews. It wasn't the Inquisition. It was around time he didn't want to pay the Jews, so he kicked a bunch of Jews out, and a lot of them went to South America. And our family, through my mother, basically was, she's like, yeah, we're Jewish, but so what? We're Catholic. It doesn't really matter. For her, it didn't like.
It was not even a.
It wasn't even a thing in our family. Like this was never brought up. So then I call up the Chabad rabbi and I was like, hey, I think I'm Jewish. I think I'm Jewish. And then he's like, do you have any paperwork? And I'm like, ugh, I have no paperwork. So then I tell my wife this, and I'm like, so I think I might be Jewish, or I have some Jewish blood in me. So I want to ask you a question. So what do you think her response was when I told her that?
That you're the devil and you're damned to hell and you're going to bring her down with you?
So what do you? That's what you think she said? She started crying. She goes, she's like, I know where you're gonna go with this, and I can't come with you. So I'm like, she does know me very well. Because once you have that spark, and like, I don't know what it was. Once I had that spark, I couldn't, like, from that day, from what the pastor said, culminating to, me converting, like something sparked in me that I couldn't stop. It was just a feeling of like, I'm a normal guy, but I think I belong here, and I feel so good when I'm here, and yeah, that's what it was. It was basically, me and my wife divorced amicably. I basically told her, hey, I'll pay for everything. Don't worry. Just give me a call. The best divorce ever. I talk to my girls every day. I have 2 little girls. I go visit them once a month, and I stay for 5 days. We're very close. Amicable. She understands too. She's like, yeah, it wouldn't work. And I'm like, of course it wouldn't work. How can I have intimate relations with you if you think I'm the devil? Like, how does how does that work? Like, how does that intimacy factor? And I do believe, having that same view of connection to God, I do believe it does enhance a marriage. Like having one or the other. I think it's very interesting to have the other one, but I think it becomes even more intimate when you're both connected together in the same views and values, theologically.
Where did you end up doing the conversion? In Miami?
So at this time, I'm stuck in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. This is too much Bible Belt. I'm like, so at this time, I'm kind of like eating kosher. So I kind of figured all that stuff out. Like I had a griddle, no mixing, meat and milk. I had all that good stuff. Then I looked into the history of of Christmas. Then I looked into the history of what is it? The egg one. What is it called? There we go. That's how I just like the egg one. Yeah. And then there's a great video about that with Rabbi Lawrence Kellerman. It's an hour video, and he just breaks down the real history of Christmas and Easter. And I'm going like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with that. No more. It's even worse than I thought. And and I would tell my kids, I'm like, look, daddy just believes in God and mommy believes in Jesus. So they're small kids. I would never put anything on them that would disrupt the harmony of the family. I'm very protective of them, but they know now when I go and visit, like when we wake up, we say the morning Jewish prayers. They love it. We sing some Maris Yahu songs. We sing, they love Avanagila. They love making challah. They love making challah. I'm just I always tell them this. I'm like, look, when you're older, you're going to have a lot of questions. Come to me with all your questions, and I will sit down with you and I'll explain to you everything. So they're 10 and 7 right now. So I'm like, enjoy all of that stuff you're doing and all the, fundamentalist, all that stuff. I don't really mind. I'm like, hey, you're my girls, no matter what. I'm your father. I want the best for you. I always want the best for you. So yeah, we keep it like that. And then coming back now, I basically got a job. So this is kind of crazy. I got a really good job offer in Miami Beach. Like I'm a software engineer. I got a really like a 6-figure job offer out of nowhere. I wasn't even expecting it that much. I did some, LinkedIn and all that stuff, and I just threw them out there. I got an offer, and I was like, I cannot refuse this. This is really, really good. So then I moved to Miami Beach. So at this time, my parents were living in Orlando. They moved to Miami Beach. So I was staying with them for a little bit. And then I land on 41st Street, which is basically, ground zero for anything Jewish. But that's the thing. Other than that, I didn't really know where to go. Like, I was scared to go to the Jewish court, the Beit Din. I was scared to go because I'm like, I don't think I'm ready yet. With all the studying I've done, I've read, I don't know if you know the Gray Book of the 39 Melachot. So
Shabbat.
I read, yeah. So I read that 4-volume series. I already had read that once. Very intense, very, very intense. So I already read that once, all the way through, just on my own. And so I kind of figured out all this stuff. I just didn't know where to start. So there's a JLC, there's a Chabad, and I just walk in the Chabad. I see some kid. I'm like, hey, look, I'm new here. I want to convert now. Like, I want to convert. What do I have to do? He's like, oh, look, don't convert, blah, blah, blah. Become a Noahide, become all this, become all that. I'm like, look, it's either 0 or 100. So there's no, I want the full benefits of joining the Jewish people, basically.
Did you mention that you think you might actually be Jewish?
Yes. So he's like, oh, the thing is, I didn't have any paperwork. They're like,
right. I'm just saying, if you start with that, conversion, I think probably is a lot easier of a process than pushing you off and saying become a Noahide, because you're like, I feel this inside. I have reason to believe that this is my actual family heritage.
Yeah. So it's funny because they're like, you're not Jewish. You look Jewish. You move Jewish. You have Jewish. Like, I start moving my hands and I start talking. They're like, you act Jewish. And I'm more like, I've always acted like this. I don't understand. So like, and I always had the beard and like I had a little bit longer, and I just didn't have the kippah on and the yarmulke. So basically, they're like, you look Jewish. And I just started laughing. I was like, wait, I don't want to say anything, but do I look Jewish? And they're like, yeah, we would never tell that you weren't Jewish. And I was like, wow, okay. So I guess that's a positive. So then, I start showing up for morning prayers at the JLC, and I wouldn't pray with them. I would stay in a corner and just start reading more books. And they would look at me like, who's this kid coming in and reading very like hard books to read? And he comes in the morning. I would come around like 6 in the morning-ish. They're like, he doesn't pray, he doesn't do anything. He just comes and reads for about 1 or 2 hours, and then he leaves. And then, it's a small community. Everyone starts knowing everybody. So I just started popping up. I'm like, oh, there's this guy who just comes in and reads and he leaves, and he doesn't really say hi to anybody. What's his deal? So then someone approached me and was like, who are you? I was like, hey, my name is Gus. I'm looking to convert, but I don't think I'm ready yet. And they're like, well, we've seen you for the past 6 months reading very intense books. I think you might be ready. So then I go to the Beit Din and the Miami Beach Beit Din, which is very, very, honestly, I would say they're like the Harvard of conversions. It's very, very intense and very, it's very intense. It's like, it was, they would ask me trick questions, which was really good of them, because I thought I knew. And then sometimes they didn't really want an answer. They wanted me to answer back with a question, trying to get to the right answer by getting to the right question.
It sounds very Jewish.
Yeah, it was just, they were very, understand. At that point, they already knew. They're like, look, we don't have to say, oh, you're a Noahide. Do you want to be a Noahide, or do you want to, don't convert. At that point, they already knew I'm like, I'm doing this. So they're like, okay, stop going to the Josie at the moment. We want to see you every day, 3 times a day for prayer. So basically, I went to the Kotel, and which is like the Miami Beach Kotel. And basically, that's where everyone would go and learn and pray, and that's where the Beit Din would hold all their meetings. So I started praying there, and 3 times a day I would pray, and that was for a whole I think about like a year and almost like a year and a half almost. So during my conversion, I would meet everyone from the community. I go to all the Shabbat and everything else, and basically every time, like, do you know you have to break Shabbat, right? Do you know you can't really fully keep Shabbat? I'm like, guys, I'm already past that point of not knowing what I have to do and not to do. Basically, so everyone would come and it would say, "You look Jewish, but you're not Jewish. You do everything Jewish. We're very confused." And then I would start answering, that we would have halakhic debates, and then I would start chiming in these halakhic debates, and then my points would win the debates, and I would show them where I would get where would I get this, and they're like, "This is crazy." They didn't understand, and the whole thing was, to me, it was very intellectual. I'm very grounded, and so I don't have that deep, spiritual things. It was more intellectual to me, and I'm like, oh, to me, God is logical in a way where I can understand him, and the Bible makes sense to me.
So looking back at this whole journey and your whole process, is it all intellectual? Meaning, is there something that, in terms of practice of Judaism, that you see and that you do today that you can't imagine your life without?
It's interesting because when everyone has that mikvah story of, going down the mikvah and coming up and having this spiritual thing, what I had was, I was like, oh, this is it. This is where I belong. Like, this is what I need to do. And to me, the spiritual part of Judaism isn't highs and lows, like these huge tidal waves. I learned that Judaism is most agreeable or most normal. It's just little waves. You're just little waves here and there. So sometimes you have little ripples that go up and down, but Judaism wants you to be even keel. And I love that. That's where, I understood when the rabbis, I'm like, look, this is going to be a long journey where it's going to be annoying sometimes, but understand that you're here for the long ride. Because a lot of converts come in and they're like, I have fire. I want to be Jewish. And I'm like, yeah, but what happens when that fire dies down? Are you still wanting to have that? So I understood the long process to be like, oh, they want to see if I could,
But
tolerate.
to push back, if it's strictly a intellectual process, then what happens when you have deep questions you don't have answers to? Because we always do. We are, right. I would say the distinction is that we're okay with the questions and we're okay sitting with the questions, but there will always be more we don't understand than we do understand. So if your connection is entirely intellectual and intellectually based, what happens when you get to a point where the questions start piling up and you don't have adequate answers that sit well with you?
So I go back to this. I'm like, let's say if you have a mother and mother says, I like when you do this. I'm not going to give you a reason, but it pleases me when you do this. That's basically my answer to that question. I'm like, your mom has things that she likes that you do, and she has things that she doesn't like. She's your mom. She doesn't have to give you a reason. And if you start poking at it, it's going to annoy you more. and I'm okay with that. And the spiritual side of it, I would say that the praying in the morning is where I sit at, and the prayer in the evening. And I usually do the 2:45s. I haven't been doing it in a while, but the two, like the middle of the day praying to me is so spiritual to me because I'm always at full cylinders and I'm like, I just come and reset. And also the remembering of everything that has happened before and honoring them and honoring God. I feel that's where my spirituality comes in. It doesn't really come in through like, I don't know, like experiences of like very big. They're just even keel experiences that I just feel really good with.
I love that. So prayer, if you had to answer something, you'd say prayer is the thing that provides that for you. And I love that recalibration. Often, especially afternoon prayer is, we look at the afternoon prayer as one of the most fundamental in that it really is, you look at the way the Torah itself, the Bible describes the afternoon prayer, that, Isaac was praying, he was l'suach basada, he was praying out in the field. And this idea of kind of like you're in the middle of your day and it's really busy and you have a million things you have to do and like you just stop. And that pause really lets you reflect and think about your values and what's important to you and what you're doing and why you're doing it, and not just getting lost in that wave of busyness. Yes. So I love that.
Yeah, I truly think that the evening, middle of the day prayers is basically one of the joys that I have when I join, because it literally it's like a hard stop. It's literally like, hey, go and pray. Stop what you're doing, especially in the Kotel. They're on time all the time. So, and if you don't show up, they know. So they're like, "Where were you?" I'm like, "I am so sorry."
Oh, love that.
Yeah. So before I converted, I also I just left my job. I was like, look, I'm done with my job. I like davening. And then I took a month, almost like 2 months, and I went to Israel and I went to yeshiva and I learned for almost 2 months.
Wow.
I was like the oldest guy there, but they love me. They're like, oh, look at this old guy coming in, a bunch of like 18, 19-year-olds, and they see me. They're like, no, we want you to come because we want to show that these kids that, hey, you can do this at any time and it's not a chore. And you just got to frame it. You have to frame it and look at it different. That's basically what you have to do. If it's not pleasant to you, in my opinion, you're looking at it at the wrong direction. You like recalibrate how you're thinking. It might be a chore, but we still do chores anyways. So yeah, that's basically it. So then I basically came back from Israel, from yeshiva or sameach, which is one of the, I loved it. It was the best experience ever. If you want, I can tell a funny Shabbat story, which is really, I thought Please. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in Jerusalem. We had to go see someone. It's Shabbat. It was me and 3 kids. We had to go see someone. So we start walking. It's like a 40-minute walk, man. It's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm starving. Like, I don't know where I am. I have no clue. It's Shabbat. So then one of the kids goes, oh, it's right over here. So we knock on the door and no one's at the place. And I'm like, this guy, he has like 9 kids. Like, it's impossible. It's this quiet, So then we're knocking on the door. Then we're on the stairs. We're like, oh man, what are we going to do? We have to walk back to the yeshiva. That's like another 40 minutes. And we're all like, we're so hungry right now. So while we're walking down the stairs, a Hasidic guy, like ultra Orthodox Hasidic guy, looks at us. He's like, are you guys lost? and if you guys are lost, you want to come in for Shabbat. And he's speaking Yiddish. Thank goodness one of the kids spoke Yiddish, because I was just like,
really?
yeah. And I'm like going like, so then he goes like, yeah, come on. I have a family. I have like six kids. And I was like, what? So I'm like, so we go into his apartment. He opens it up. So he calls one of his kids over and he goes, go to what they call it's like a gemak. It's basically where like everyone, like the community has all the food, and you can go in and get extra food if you need it without even asking. So he gets his little kid and he brings over like tons of food for us without even, by the way, I'm not understanding anything. I'm going like, what is going on here? This is amazing.
You're like looking for the subtitles, and there's
yeah. I was like, please translate. What's going on? What's going on? Like, this is not even Hebrew. This is not even like I can one or two words out of like 4 paragraphs. Like I could figure out, So then
before you even go on, I want to know how many kids in Or Sameach can speak Yiddish, and how did you end up with the one kid who could?
I have no clue. That
worked out well.
It worked out so well. There was like 4 kids. One was South African, one was from Brooklyn, and then the other one was just like some town in America. I have no clue. And some other kid. So this kid just spoke Yiddish, and I was like, what? And then I looked over at this star. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God that we're going to eat some food. So the food part. So, okay. So the first dish, pretty fine, normal. Then he brings over some jelly, some weird gelatinous.
Oh gosh, cha.
And I'm like, all right. Hold on. Can I just have some carrots?
Have you ever seen these BuzzFeed videos where they make like non-Jews eat some of these like old Hungarian, Lithuanian Jewish foods? Yeah. That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah. So then he brings out that gelatinous thing, and I'm going like, look, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, but I have a really sensitive stomach. I really don't want. She's like, no, don't worry. She was like, like in that. He wasn't really saying anything new. He was just saying, don't worry about it, basically. So then he brings out the fish. It's not cut. It's basically, I'm like, you can see the eyes, you can see everything, and he's like he's like, come and pick, and he's picking at the eyes. It's picking at stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be. Just give me some water. I'm like, just give me some water. Give me some wine, please. More wine. No more wine. I have some bread. I would just give me some challah, please. Give me I'm gonna stay away from all this stuff because I don't know what's gonna happen. So then, he calls up one of this. I don't know, kid. I think the kid was like 6 or 7, and this kid gets a Gemara and he gets the Devar and he gets the Torah, and then he just starts talking basically he's giving a Devar Torah, but it's like the kid's like 6 or 7, but it's like a half-hour long Devar Torah. And I'm going like, this is insane. I've never seen a Devar Torah this long. And the kids, and I kept on poking the kid who spoke Yiddish. He's like, what's he saying? He's like, I'm like, oh, he's going to deep knowledge in these Bible verses. Like, he's going in deep. And I'm like, the kid's 6. What's going on? So I was just astonished that, that at that age, that kid knew so much. I didn't understand 1% of it, but I was like, oh, like whatever you did, it kind of impressed me. It was like,
Did the food get any better?
No. Yeah, at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have bread. I'm honestly just gonna have bread. I'm gonna have challah. This is the safest bet for me. I'm not.
Bring out like the challant and the kugel and all the.
Well, cholent to me is so heavy. Like they're like, how can you be Jewish and not eat cholent? I'm like, I know, I like the fish though. I like Moroccan fish. So we leave that place, and while we're leaving, he goes, "Hey, do you want to go to a tish? Do you want to go? Do you want to go? What would you say? How do you call it tish? What would you say? Just a gathering of men and women jumping. Well, separated.
It's like a Hasidic after party, but not in the way you're picturing an after party. But yeah,
yeah. And so we go to the Bells place. Oh my gosh,
that's a cool building, isn't it?
I was blown away. I was like, "This is beautiful. This is beautiful." And then the rabbi was there.
For those who haven't seen it, this building, if you're like anywhere in the vicinity, it's like kind of like when you go to Manhattan and you walk in between buildings, and then there's still like the building there. You know, there's something. This building is so enormous that like huge. Anywhere you are in that vicinity, you just like it stands out, and it's built to look almost like the temple. So like they call it jokingly the temple, but it's quite something.
So here am I going to a tish, going to this party, not knowing what to expect. And I look around, I'm like, everyone's jumping around and everyone's drinking and everyone's doing. I was like, oh, so this is their party. And it's all about God and it's all about closeness. And that's what I loved about it. Their energy was so enthusiastic and heartwarming. And like, honestly, first off, I didn't have a black suit. I had a blue suit, so I already stood out. So they were like, oh, you know, they kind of like were very nice to me because they knew I'm not from there. I don't, you know. But yeah, and they stayed until like 4:00 in the morning. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Everyone drinking and dancing. I was like, so this is how they party. And it's all about God, which I thought was amazing. That was it. Yeah.
I'm glad it was a good experience.
Yeah, it was I love it. I plan on going back again and staying for another month because it was so good.
That's awesome. Was that your first and only time in Israel?
Yes, literally. It was like I was studying at the Kotel, and I'm like, you know what? I need to go. I need to go to Israel. So when I went to Israel, everyone's like, go to the wall. You'll feel connected. I'm like, I didn't feel the connection. I wasn't at the wall. There's another place that's closer to the Temple Mount. I think it's another like entrance or sidewall.
In the tunnels?
Yes.
There's the part that's up the Holy of Holies. Is that what you're talking about?
No. So it's like a gate that they let you see where the Temple Mount was, but you can't go through because it's Muslims only.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. In the shuk, in the market.
Yeah. No, not in the market. Not in, maybe, I can't remember, but it was just a place where you were closer to the Temple Mount, and that's where I felt the connection. It wasn't at the Western Wall. It was at that place. I can't remember the place exactly, but yeah, that was my experience. And it was just, like I said, my experience are more like, this feels right to me. Like, it wasn't, you know, yeah, that's basically it. I'm so even keel that it's pretty much that's how it goes.
Well, thank you so much, Gus, for sharing your story and for being here. And thank you all for joining us as well. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe to 0% and all of our podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. Share with a friend, leave a review. You can find all of our podcasts at jydenver.com/podcasts. And the link, as always, will be in the show notes. See you back here next month. Be well.